Stoked. Let's do this. I think we're going to have like a half an hour meeting before a podcast to talk about what we're going to talk about. So
We
we're
did
more
that
efficient.
yesterday,
I know.
didn't
Yeah, we did, which is good.
No, but we
Because
did
now we
an
can just jump
hour
into it.
over.
Yeah, we did. We started chatting and stuff. But
So
I think we
I
can do
agree
at
with
least
the half
half an
hour.
hour for brainstorming. Okay. It's loading. It's loading. Confirm for me, please. Nice. Okay, we are good. All right. So start this officially in 3, 2, 1. Cling. Welcome, my friends, to episode number 3 of Pathway to Peace. I am again here with Professor Matt Perlstein and myself, Joshua Marcos Munoz Murley. And I want to first thank you, the audience, everyone out there, for signing up and participating here. And as a part of what, emotional intelligence is all about right now, I feel excited and giddy. That's my check-in. How about yourself, man? How you doing?
I feel good emotionally. I feel positive, optimistic, encouraged, that kind of thing. Physically a little
Awesome.
tired, but that's okay. Those are
Right,
different.
right,
You can
right.
be
Oh,
physically
man.
not great and emotionally just fine at the same time. Turns out.
Right. So we can feel, that's an interesting way of putting it, right? Because there's an interesting difference between feeling and emotions, right? Maybe
Mm.
you can share that a little bit. Well, what do you think?
I don't
Or is it
I
just
don't usually
semantics?
yeah, I don't usually differentiate them too much. Because
Well,
they're
in this case,
relevant.
let me probe you for a minute. In this
Okay.
case, you're feeling tired, right? The body
Yeah.
is feeling tired, but perhaps emotionally you are in good spirits. Maybe you're energized,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so in that sense, feeling and emotions can be different. I mean, it's not just semantics, but anyways, that's something
Yeah.
interesting to kind of differentiate, right? A little bit
Mm.
words and their meanings, right? Across
Yeah.
cultures, across uh,
I'm actually doing a workshop later this evening on for a university in India on
ah
words. It's for the department of a university, and so it's on with another fella, and he is a linguistics professor and a soft skills trainer, and we are doing it on the meaning, the role of language in emotional intelligence. So very relevant
the role of
today.
language. Mhm. Very important, right? It's
Very.
difficult to express oneself if one has not acquired the, let's say, lexicon or the words, the expressive sounds that we use to share with each other what we're actually
Mm.
emoting. So I'll have to think about that. Emoting versus feeling. Hmm. I'll
Oh,
have to
I can
differentiate that
talk about
later.
that for half an hour. That's a big deal.
Uh-huh. Okay, well,
Yes.
today, what we have scheduled to talk about
Okay.
is making the mind your friend, right?
Yes.
And how to
Yes.
engage the heart as well. So
Hmm.
today we're going to be talking about language in a different way, self-talk, why it's important, and how to kind of modify the language we're using in order to create a more friendly atmosphere for our own mind and how we talk to each other, right?
Hmm. How we talk to
So
ourselves,
there,
how we talk to each other.
right,
Both,
how
yes.
we talk
Big
with
deal.
ourselves
Very big.
and each other. Um, and
Let's start with
so,
ourselves, right?
yeah, definitely. So self-talk is it's an interesting subject matter. I don't think it's really even emphasized much. We just kind of take for granted that whatever's going on in the mind, it just is what it is, and we don't like have control, right? And so that is something we can very much disagree with, right? It's like first we have awareness, right? And then we have uh
Acceptance.
What's acceptance of the awareness of our emotions. And then there's the action part, right? So we
Right.
can take actions to modify, to change, and improve our self-talk. Because in fact,
That's true.
what matters the most is what we tell ourselves, right? Because then that's what we believe. That's right. And according to my study in the EQ world myself, we actually emphasize 5 negative things for every 1 positive thing in our mind. So if we know that about our psychology, if we know that humans, as people, we usually will remember 5 negative things throughout the day over 1 positive thing, right? And so we have like a 5-to-1 ratio for basically being negative, right? And so being aware of that, we can actually then modify, and actually question why we speak to ourselves in certain ways, right?
Yeah, and yeah, you can analyze that all you want to. If, and analysis is not one of my strong points. That's left brain thinking, and I'm not that smart in my left brain. I'm more interested in how to fix it, how to make it better, how to become, like you said, self-talk. You say something nasty to yourself, and then you become aware of it and accept that, yeah, I did that, and yeah, I can change it, and then change it,
Yeah.
and then say, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I don't want to think that anymore. I don't want to talk to myself like that and do it different and form a new habit, spin it to win
A
it.
new habit, spin it to win it. And in that sense, we can modify our own self-talk, and we can orient it towards a suggestion. This is the
Okay.
tool set that I
Okay.
work as a hypnotherapist, is the state of hypnosis, which is this absorbed state of concentration, focus, and relaxation, in which we become more accessible to our subconscious mind and suggestible. And so what I want to share in this episode today is what is a practical step making our mind our friend. And I would say that through repetition of positive thinking, right, positive words, and in critical different times during the day. So it is pretty well known that we actually enter into hypnosis right before we go to bed. We go into a hypnagogic state, as it's called. 5 minutes or so right before we go into deep sleep, into unconscious sleep, we go through these phases, as I've talked about before: beta being conscious, alpha being relaxed, theta being hypnosis, and delta being deep sleep. And so the real work comes between alpha and theta, which is where the hypnagogic state of our mind, of our processing kind of conscious mind goes on. And in that time, we enter into hypnosis, and we are actually more suggestible, right? So one thing that I want to kind of give as a power tool in this episode is that we want to create a power phrase, something that motivates us towards a grander goal, something that we can see ourselves projecting into a year, 3, 5 years, something we want to become, right? More and more. And so we can utilize that by creating an auto suggestion, by writing down just a phrase or two, 1 or 2 sentences that you can memorize, and then you can elaborate on in your journal more so thoroughly, describing what it is and how it is and how it will look like. So for example, I have this power phrase that I am healthy, wealthy, and wise. And so this is my power phrase. This is what I like to repeat to myself at different times of the day and in different states of mind, especially one that is meditative and such. And so the nature of suggestions, in order for them to enter into the subconscious mind more directly, more quickly, and more easily, they have to be, 1, present tense. So when we speak to ourselves in our subconscious mind, especially, there is no, the subconscious mind doesn't have a past and doesn't have a future. It's very present oriented. So if I were to say, tomorrow I'm going to be rich, healthy, and wise, Tomorrow will come, and the suggestion is still tomorrow. And then the next day will come, and the suggestion, you get it? So tomorrow never comes for the subconscious mind, because it's literal. So that's the second thing, is that the subconscious mind is very literal, very straightforward. What you say is exactly what you want to try to mean. And so you want to use present tense, literal terms, positive terms. So not say that I'm not going to be weak. I'm not going to be weak. I'm not going to be, no, that's a negative suggestion. You want to rephrase it as a positive suggestion. I am going to feel strong. I am going to feel healthy. So these are some tips as you write your own power phrase, right? And the phrase should be very simple. Should be as if you're talking to a 10-year-old, almost like you're talking to a 10-year-old version of yourself from within yourself. And so when you write your power phrase and you repeat it to yourself right before you go to bed in a hypnagogic state, or right after you wake up in a hypnopopic state of mind, these are the most beneficial time frames for that suggestion to enter into your mind. And the last element is that you want to make it emotionally intense. You want to intensify it. You want to actually feel, okay, I'm healthy. What do I see? I see myself with the form I want, the muscles, with the flexibility, with the strength, the endurance. And then I'm wealthy. I can see my bank account, and I can see my investments, and I can see my property, and I can see my friends, wealthy in so many aspects, and then feel like it's happening already in the present, right? It's all the nuances of manifestation, right? Like The Secret talks about. It's all in a lot of sense makes it's all true, and in a lot of sense it can also be fluffed up and such. But the essence is that it's positive tense, present tense, positive words, simple words, and repetition. So just keep repeating to yourself: healthy, wealthy, and wise. So the last part, wise. Well, how am I wise? I'm cultivating knowledge. I'm cultivating self-knowledge. I'm meditating. I'm seeing myself being able to constrain my senses and my mind in difficult situations. And so then I see myself already being there in the present moment. And doing that, again, 5 minutes, just 5 minutes before you go to bed, 5 minutes after you wake up, to just repeat that power phrase is one way of really creating an effective new suggestion that replaces an old one. So that is what I have to share about how to make your mind a friend. And I will be speaking more and more on what that means in the context of yoga philosophy, and Vedanta, and what I like to call Vedic psychology, and how its differentiations in terms of the categories of the mind are different than the West. And so, again, that's how we kind of move towards becoming our own friend, is by speaking to our mind and knowing the tools and the aspects of the subconscious mind. So yeah, anything you have to share, Matt? You're muted, by the way. You are muted, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. My cat is messing with the cabinets, and she keeps slamming the cabinet, so I gotta
Oh, I see.
cut it out. Anyway, I am healthy. Do you find it useful to start it with I am? Is that
Yes,
pretty much
you
universal?
want
I
it.
am.
Yes, most of the time. I think yes, because you want it to be present tense, right?
Yeah.
So I am, not I'm becoming or I was, but I am right now in the moment. I am healthy, I am wealthy, and I am wise. And then attach the image. Oh, that's another thing. You want to attach the imagery as well, not just emotion, but imagery of you being and acting and being in situations in which you want to see how you want to see yourself, right? And this is how you can begin to kind of reorient your mind as as somebody who perhaps has been just a bully your whole life, to slowly becoming a friend. And there are more practices as well that we can talk about later on. But this is this is what I want to share in terms of how we make our mind our friend, make it your friend. So yeah, any thoughts, any ideas? Have you done anything similar? I know you're a big journaling guy, and is there any, have you ever come across any phrases, any words that really stick out for you, and have you repeated to yourself?
Yes. I'm trying to think of some right now. Yeah, certainly.
Okay.
Another one I was thinking of is I have rather than I am. You could be I am and I have or something like that. But just a thought if
Present
you're
tense,
you want
I
something,
have
yeah.
riches, I have strength, I have an emotional intelligence, I have
Mhm.
presence with my partners, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it's present tense.
I guess
Yeah,
for mine,
the most
I'm running. Yep. I run a international nonprofit, and what I would want to say is I have a powerful organization. I have people who are willing and excited to do what I'm doing, and I have a great backing, that kind of stuff. So it's different than I am, I guess, is what
that
I
works
was
too.
just
It's
thinking.
present tense. And then very important though, we want to have it backed up with some emotion like, yes, it is happening. It is what it is. And then that that way we
Organization.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we want to make that emphasis, right? That emotional emphasis, because that's how the subconscious mind will kind of ingrain that neural pathway within our
Feel it.
brain. That's right. Yeah, gotta
That's
feel it to heal it, right?
yeah.
As you
Yeah.
say.
Well, we're not trying to heal it right this second. Although it certainly could be. I have let go of, I have dealt with, I have handled, I have this situation in a better place than it was.
Mhm.
It could be that way. Um,
As long
so
as it's present tense, that's the
yeah,
key right there.
yeah.
So creating that power
Um,
phrase again, simple words, present tense, evoke emotion, use a visualization, and repetition. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. I
our
read this
friend
book,
Davey calls it
Habits.
pre-paving, right? Our friend Davey calls
Yes,
it
yes,
pre-paving, right?
paving.
Which I like.
Oh, I love that concept. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good word.
Prepave the I think basically feeling the emotion that you want to create is prepaving
Hmm.
it,
Now, yeah, feel it now, regardless.
right?
Good. It's also what is that called? The law of attraction, right? Where you
Oh, yes, the
feel
law of
it,
attraction.
get it later.
Basically, it's
From
just
the
like
secret.
you just convince yourself that it's a reality already present. And when it becomes ingrained in your subconscious mind as a habit, there's this book I read, Habit, by, I can't remember who it was, famous author. And it takes about 36 days, as some scientific studies have shown that in order to create a lifelong habit, if you can keep it up for 36 days, then it can become an unconscious habit, right? As I've talked about before, first we're unconscious incompetent, then we're consciously incompetent, then we become consciously competent, and we move
Hopefully.
towards unconscious competence, right?
Yep. Yeah, those
So
are a
go
big
ahead
deal.
and share with us what you want to have. How do you make your mind your friend according to the EQ work that you have?
Well, one of the biggest things that you mentioned was the self-talk, and I
Mm,
think that's a huge part of this whole thing.
mm,
Becoming awareness, acceptance, action, becoming aware of how you talk to yourself is such a big deal. And it helps to write it down. It helps to be on calls or videos or whatever and watch yourself and listen to yourself. It helps.
yes.
I have on my phone, I'm sure, I don't know, you guys probably have them too, but it came with my phone, was called voice recorder, which I use
Yeah.
often. I have, I think, 800 voice recordings now. And so I have a little magnet here on the back of my phone and I stick it on my dashboard. I usually do this in the car and I just hit it and I'm just going talking to myself. And I go to my daughter's all the time, which is an hour drive in Willits. And I'm just going at it, talking, talking, talking to me. And so, and sometimes I'm yelling at it, sometimes I'm crying, and sometimes I'm asking it questions that I don't know the answer to, and it doesn't answer me. I don't know. I'll have to work on that part. But you get the idea.
Uh-huh.
It's about
Yeah.
expressing myself and talking to myself.
Yeah.
I'm doing it out loud, but whatever, it's still me talking to me. And I
Mm,
find that incredibly useful, helpful, wonderful, powerful, etc. So
nice. Nice. Nice.
becoming aware of it, accepting that that is how it is, and then if you don't like it, I say stuff, and then I go, whoa, 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 that I don't want to think that. I don't want to think that. That makes me feel terrible. Or I used to think that, but I don't want. I don't anymore. Or
That's a good way of reframing.
that's wrong. I was like, what? What are you talking about? What? And so
Yeah.
what you can do then, you can't really fix it because you already said it, you already thought it, you already said it to yourself. You can't go back and change it, but you can replace it. You
Replace it.
can
That's right.
override it, and you can say,
That's right.
I want to. I don't like that thought. Here's the thought I like, and put that one in there and make, like you said, a habit out of the new thought, not the old
Mhm,
thought.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a very important principle that I've learned. One of the kind of mechanisms of the mind is that we want to definitely repeat things over, and old suggestions get replaced by new suggestions. Not that we erase old things, but they are replaced by newer, updated suggestions or programs, as you can think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah. New and improved thought.
New and improved thought. I
Yeah.
like
New
that.
and improved
That's right.
self-talk. Yeah. Yep.
Mm,
And some of this stuff is already habitual. Some of it is from childhood that, this is something that my mom used to say to me, and now I'd say it to me, and that's not helpful. A lot of time, that's again awareness and acceptance and going, whoa, 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 wait a minute. That's not how I want to think. I don't even think that.
that's
She
right.
used to think that, or her mom thought that and told it to her. And so she started using those same phrases about me, but I never did
Exactly.
believe it. I never thought it in the first
Oh,
place.
that. Oh,
And
yeah.
so, but
Oh,
here I
yeah.
am using it. Here I am telling myself this stuff that I don't even think. And so
Mhm.
that again, awareness and acceptance and change it. Whoa, whoa.
That's right. And
I
being
didn't know if you
aware
heard
of
that. Our
those
two cats don't get
suggestions.
along.
No,
What?
no. I think Zoom is pretty good at cutting out
Yeah, okay.
external sounds.
All right.
Yeah, so we want to be aware of that we can change things by repeating and overlaying these suggestions. And we can also ask ourselves, like,
Yeah.
why do we believe what we believe, right? We can even get a little epistemological with our thinking. It's like, why do
You
I
can.
believe what I believe,
Hmm.
And is it something that I accepted because I wanted to, or was it something just that was just put onto me from an early age? And now at a later age, I can
Hmm.
decide, is that
Hmm.
useful for me now? Right. So using a little curiosity and a little bit more of awareness and insightfulness into your own inner talk is very useful.
I'm laughing because a thing you came up with a long time ago is don't believe everything you think, don't believe everything you feel, and don't even believe everything you believe.
Ah,
Because that
yeah.
it's wild because you start doubting yourself. It's not doubting yourself, it's rethinking and being aware and accepting what's happening and whether and checking it out and see if you even agree with it or even believe what you're saying, or you know what I mean. What you're saying to yourself may or may not be helpful, and that's the word that we use a lot too. Is it helpful? Not is it right, or is it you can be all kinds of other questions, but is it helpful? Is this what is me saying this to myself? Is this going to help me, or is it going to make things worse? So
Huh.
for me, that's the question I
That's
ask
great.
myself a lot of
Great
times. How
idea.
do I go? That was not helpful, dude.
Uh-huh.
Saying
Uh-huh.
that and thinking
Yeah.
that it's not helpful.
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah. There's one way of framing it in Vedic psychology, following the Upanishads and how the mind works. There are two ways of differentiating our desires, and that is from what is pleasurable and then what is beneficial. So what is like immediately going to bring some sort of pleasure or desire to and differentiate it from what is going to be beneficial. And so usually you can differentiate what's the more intelligent choice. And by bringing yourself to the platform of intelligence and above your mind, and we can talk about that later on, the layers of mind, uh, thoughts, intelligence and the ego. So it's just something to think about, how to differentiate what is immediately pleasurable and what is beneficial. But yeah, go ahead and speak to us about inner dialogue, your self-talk, and especially the words that we use. As now you were just relating to us a little bit ago, you're going to be giving a presentation on how words and emotional intelligence are important. So what kind of words can we use, and can you help us create a nuanced understanding of our own emotions?
Well, a lot of people, first off, don't know that they create their own thoughts and feelings. They think other people, you made me angry, right? You hurt my feelings. You did this.
Just the way English is framed.
No, they did. What?
Yeah, maybe just the way we've been
that's where
trained
what
and
we're
framed.
told. That's what one of my good friends that I work with a lot on this, who's one of the best at this, in my opinion, said, Ray Mathis. He says it's the great lie that we are told, that that people hurt your feelings and people make you angry, and you got to be careful what you say because you're going to hurt someone's feelings. Well, technically, no, you're not. And technically, you're doing what you're doing, and they're doing what they're doing, and whether you get hurt by it or not, or makes you angry or not, it's up to you. Totally up to you, which is very cool because it puts you in charge of you. It puts you in charge of your life. No matter what's happening outside, we get to choose what happens inside, right? So
you in charge of you.
That's the basis of this whole thing. I call it emotional responsibility, and it's, in my opinion, the biggest lesson in EQ. That if I had a bumper sticker and that's all I could say, one thing, that's what I would say: that you are in charge of your thoughts and your feelings. All of them, not some of them, all of them. And so no blaming, no any of that. It puts you in charge. And that's a beautiful thing. So knowing that you can do something about it is what I call spin it to win it. And knowing that you are in charge is a wonderful thing. So, then you can become more aware. Then you can accept what's going on inside of you, and what you're doing to yourself, and then you can change it. You and only you can change it. So, yep, you agree?
Yeah, totally. You are in charge of you, and that's, I mean, we almost have to like say that out loud and give ourselves the permission and the reality of like, yeah, you don't make me angry. You don't do anything. I do it to myself. And that gives so much freedom, so much power. You can take your power back, right? That's just,
it does.
and just talking about that, it sounds kind of silly, but it's so true. It's so true. We're not,
is so true.
We're almost waiting for like others to give us permission to like feel what we want to feel, right? And so we have to give ourselves permission to take the authority away from how we've given it to others, right? And I can talk about how modern school systems really don't teach, but indoctrinate and such and such. But I mean, to learn that you are in control of your own emotions, I don't think it's taught in school enough. I don't think it's taught in school at all. It's just, we're just, made to obey certain orders.
Right. So two things about that real quick. One is that, hey, there's a fantastic book called Permission to Feel, Permission to Feel. And it's about giving yourself permission to feel. Is a big deal. And it's written by Dr. Mark Brackett, who runs the Yale, Y-A-L-E, Yale University School for Emotional Intelligence Center, the Center for Emotional Intelligence. It's a wonderful book. So Permission to Feel by Mark Brackett. Check that out. And shoot, I lost the second one. Doggone it. Sorry.
No, I'll come to you soon.
I lost the second one.
But please do share with us.
It's also called the internal locus of control. Yeah, those words. And it's the tipping point, in my opinion, between whether you do well or you don't do well. If you think they did it to you and that you're waiting for the world to change and then you'll feel better, good luck with that. You become a whiner, blamer, victim. Doesn't go well. But if you go, no, this is about me. Oh, I know what the second one was. I have cancer right now, and I've had it for a while, and we differentiate between what do you do about our problems. We have to do stuff. We got to deal with our problems, right? So what am I doing about that. Well, I do this and that with the medicine, and I had a doctor's appointment day before yesterday, and I do that stuff about, that's what I'm doing about it. Trying to do what I can
Mm,
about it, which is not that much. But the big question is, what do you do with it? What do I do with that? Yeah, I've got it, 24/7,
mm,
I've got it, and I've got to deal with the thoughts and feelings around that. And so yesterday I was laughing at myself, or the day before yesterday, I had my numbers are not going well. Things are getting worse actually. And then I was starting to get really down about it. And then I told myself, I actually looked at the thing. I was on a Zoom and I looked at myself and I go, hey, dude, you can get as upset as you want to about this. It doesn't gotta make any difference at all. But
mm.
it gave me permission. Gave myself permission.
Nice.
You can be as upset as you want to about this. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose not to, but I can. I
Nice.
can.
Nice.
So that's awesome. I thought it was a
Nice.
good example.
Awesome. Oh, that's an awesome example. Awesome example. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. For
Getting
sure.
upset is not going to help, but you can if you want to. Go ahead, knock yourself
Right.
out. Right? You
Right.
can.
No, well, that's
You're
great. That's a wonderful way of orienting like your own emotive
yeah.
components and giving you permission to like if you want to feel that way, do it and express it and let it
Yep.
go. Right. Just like well, I'll plug
Yep.
in a true
Yep.
book of one of my favorite books is
Okay.
is Dr. Robert Greene's Letting Go, and how it's just about
Mm,
all about giving yourself permission to not just express, but then also sublimate the emotion, the energy there, right? The emotion, the
mm,
energy that is in motion, right? So that it's all energy and that you can sublimate it, you can transform it into any other emotion that you consciously choose, right? And we can choose by the
Spin it toward.
very words we use, right? By how do we spin it? This is a question for you, Matt. How do we spin it and what kind of words can we use? And if it's possible to put up on here for our YouTube viewers, words that they can use to help nuance the emotions that they're feeling.
Mm,
Like
mm.
there are
Good question.
different ways of expressing sadness, different ways of expressing anger, different ways of expressing excitement, right? So maybe you can share a little bit about that and how words are actually important in learning different words
Okay.
could be helpful.
Couple things. One is the difference between complaining and venting. Complaining and
Mm,
venting. Complaining
mm,
is, and this happened to me, and it was, it was awful, and they did this
mm,
to me, and they did that to me, and
mm,
it's just like, and you, at the end of it, you feel worse probably, and the person you're talking to feels worse because you're just,
mm,
venting is you go, hey, I feel this way, and I don't want to. I want to talk about this and get it out of my system so I don't carry this
right.
around
Letting it
anymore.
go.
And so I
Letting go.
feel this. I expected this. They're called I messages. I thought this. I
Mm.
wanted this and it didn't happen. I feel
I
blah blah blah.
messages.
I think blah blah blah. Right? All those kind of things. I. It sounds self-centered and it kind of is, but it's a way to take control of yourself and to know that you created that stuff and you can change it. You and only you can change it. Does that make sense?
Totally. Totally.
Cool. So complaining is very popular and not particularly helpful. Venting is kind of magical and it can heal like crazy. And that's
Mm,
that feel it to heal it thing. If you let yourself feel what you're saying while you're saying it and then let go, like you said, let go of it afterward, then you can do some incredible stuff with your emotions. There are times, like I said before, you can be upset as I want to about that. And you said, well, yeah, you can change it. Well, there are times that it is useful to be upset about it and to let myself cry about it, for example, because I am scared about it. I really am. We've gone through 6 medications and now we're on the seventh one, and
mm,
we're running out of choices. And I still
yeah.
have a few more years to live, I hope, and we're running out of choices, and that's not a good thought and not a good feeling. And so sometimes it
Mm,
scares the heck out of me. I'm feeling it right now, and it's
mm,
useful for me to feel that, feel it, to heal it, and to allow myself the emotions, to allow the energy to get really big, allow myself to kind of fall into it and live it and believe it and not believe it, but experience it for a minute, at least for a minute, and then And then, okay, all right, yeah, all right. You know, I let myself cry, I let myself wash it through, and
Mhm.
then let it go, and then let it go. My acronyms for that are my hashtags for that are uh, get in, get it out, and get on. I like that one. Or let it flow and then let it go. I like that one too.
Mhm.
And I live on those. I work those myself and highly
Nice,
suggest them for
nice.
others.
Get it in, get it out,
Get
get
in,
on.
get it out, and get on. A friend
Nice,
of mine said
nice,
that one time. I'm like, oh, that's great. That's great. I've been using it ever since. That is great.
nice, nice. That's a good one. That's a
Yep.
good one.
So, some of the nuances, like you said, are
Yeah.
watching what you say. I can't versus I won't. That's a big
Ooh,
deal. A
that's a
lot
big
of
one.
people, oh, so many
Oh yeah.
people say, I can't do that. I can't do this anymore. Yes, you can. You've been doing it and you can keep doing it if you want to.
Yes.
If you say, I
Yes.
won't, that's a whole different story,
It
baby.
gives you
Now you're
ability
in
to change
charge,
it.
right? Now you're in charge and
That's right.
you can, sorry about that. There we go. Sorry. Wasn't expecting a call from India at this time, but it happens.
No problem.
Um,
Can't hear it through Zoom. That's
so
fine.
try that. Try that. Watch yourself every time you say I can't. There are some times where you really can't, but there's a lot of times where you're saying that to yourself and it's not true. You're just choosing not, you're choosing it. So you
You're
get to
choosing.
choose. So don't
That's
tell
a
yourself I
huge
can't when
difference.
you can.
Huge difference.
It doesn't work
Right.
well.
I learned that in hypnotherapy, years ago, 15 years ago, when
Mm,
the very word can't, just you're limiting yourself already. Absolutely, right there.
big time.
Can't, full stop.
Yep,
With
makes you
won't, you're
powerless.
like at least allowing yourself to the ability, okay, so maybe I can. And
I
so
can. I
how
choose
can,
not
the
to.
next question is how can I? So it goes from
Okay. All right.
can to won't to how can I, right?
Okay.
And in Dr.
Yep.
Robert
That's the
Greene's
next question.
emotions, it's kind of like scale of emotions. We go from sometimes apathy, and then we need to like acknowledge that, accept it, and then we move to okay, maybe there's fear there, and so we have to accept that fear, and then from fear we can go into anger, which is a little higher. We're like, okay, wait, I want to change this. So actually getting angry can be an avenue for change. And then from anger, you can move to courage. And then you start moving up into like, oh, wait, I can do it. And then from courage, you can go into success and into feeling confidence and into feeling then now caring and then loving for yourself and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
So you can move up from there. And that's how you can potentially dig yourself out of apathy, which is, I think, the worst. It's just right.
Nice.
It's only right above, guilt and shame. So
Hmm.
certainly these are
That's another
very,
one.
very critical ways of reframing what we say to ourselves and how important it is. And I think, well, I think what would be valuable, and we can maybe link this through to your website or some way of linking uh, lists of words of emotions. So becoming more familiar with
Hmm.
these and adding it to our vocabulary, I think can be very valuable.
I have a website that has over 4,000 words in English language that are all feeling based words. It's pretty
There it
cool to
is.
read through them, but
Nice,
there's a lot of them. There's
nice.
a lot is the
I
point.
think I think we
There's
want
a
to
lot
share
of
that.
them, and you get to choose which ones are right for you.
Awesome,
Pretty neat.
awesome. All right, my friend.
The more we know
Matt,
about our
so
emotions, the more choices we have, says I.
so what can you leave us with now as we start wrapping up this episode?
Okay. Watch what you say. Watch what you say. Listen to what you say. Not what it's hard to watch what you say. And you can watch
Right,
it, but
right,
it's
right.
better to listen to it. Listen to what you say and what is said to you, but mostly what you say, because a lot of times it can color, like you were saying,
Mm,
your world
yeah,
based on stuff that happened to you, on habit, on stuff that we just, oh yeah, that sounds right. Well, just because I've been saying it for years doesn't make it right.
that's
And just
right.
because other
Oh
people
yeah.
said it to us a bunch of times doesn't make it right either. So awareness and acceptance, be aware of what you say to yourself. And then the action is to change it. If you don't like it, change it. Notice it, accept it. And then if you don't like it, change it and make it something new and different and better. And you'll be amazed. Sometimes you can change things inside of you really quickly just by changing the words like I can't versus I won't. Wow. Or I can't or I choose not to, or whatever. I choose
I
that kind of
choose,
thing.
I
So
won't. And so then
those are
I
a big deal.
can. There's an option, right?
Hmm.
Totally. I totally agree. These are very
Or I don't
key,
know how to. Doesn't mean I can't.
right?
I
Or
just
even
I don't know
accepting
how.
that. Yeah. Yet.
Mhm.
Something that
Yet, that's
I can
another good
add
one.
to it is that
That is another
yet
good one.
I'm not there yet. I can't feel that yet. I'm not allowing myself to
Yep.
feel it yet, but I know
Beautiful.
I can. And so allowing that in the subconscious mind is also like, oh, okay, so there is a possibility. And then that opens up the avenue again towards
Beautiful.
creating
Yep.
creating change in that suggestion. So they're all suggestions. Every
Yep.
idea, in fact, is a suggestion. We're
It
thinking
is.
the only reason we're thinking about it is because it's already in our mind. And why is it in our
Mm.
mind? It's because it's been told to us, we've heard it, we've repeated it to ourselves, and we've accepted it as reality, right?
Right
And
on.
because
And
it's been
actually,
accepted in a certain way.
one more
Go
thing
ahead.
about the word suggest, I'm with you on that. We should have talked about that earlier. Is that you make
Mm,
it? I find it very useful. I suggest you use the term I suggest very often. I suggest this. You don't say you gotta. You don't say you. This is gonna happen. This is you should or any of that stuff. You say I
right.
suggest. And then that puts the power on me, and it gives it to you, and then you can take it or leave it, and that
That's
is a
it.
big deal. So I use that
Oh yeah.
term a lot. I suggest.
Oh yeah.
So
Yes.
try it.
Yes.
Try it. It's you can say
Totally.
all kinds of things that are difficult to say if you use the word I suggest in front of it. So
Mm,
try that.
I totally 100% agree with that. Yes. In fact,
Nice.
as a hypnotherapist, suggestion is my tool.
Yeah.
Right?
Cool.
There's
Cool.
only things that I can't make anybody do anything. In fact,
Yep.
all of hypnosis is self-hypnosis. It's not something I do
Yep.
to someone, it's something I do with
Yep.
someone. They do it to
Yep.
themselves. I'm just facilitating with them. And this is how we
I
navigate
suggest.
the exactly. And so
And
awesome. Thank you.
sometimes I go, I strongly suggest, but it's still I
Ah,
suggest. I really, really think this would be a good idea,
right.
but it's
There
still
could be an
me and it's
emphasis.
still you get to decide.
Right, right, totally.
So,
Totally. Okay, we'll start wrapping this
yes.
up, Matt. Thank you so much. So just an overview, we can make our mind our friend. We can do so by making a power phrase, by creating a kind of like new program that we can say at certain times when we're in certain states of mind, right after we wake up and right before we go to bed, we can repeat this power phrase, this idea, this
Mm.
concept that we see ourselves already happening in the present. And in doing so, it comes into the subconscious mind and it gets accepted. And then it keeps working for us even when we're not conscious of it. And this is how all suggestions work, all ideas,
Nice.
through words, through symbols, through feelings, through our imagination. And so that's one tip, one power tool that you can use. And the other one is having a list of words, as you were just helping us to reframe and but figure out the nuance of our emotions, because we're emotions are very, very complicated. They can be even layers. They can be,
Mhm.
multiples of emotions that are
Mm.
combining into what is being felt. And so to be able to put it into words, create awareness for them is so critically important. It's the first step of awareness, right? If people just begin there, then it opens up this, I like using the avenue, opening up the road towards accepting it and then changing it through action, right?
There you go. Good. Okay, one more thing about that is
Tell
that
me.
I agree with you about the nuances. There are thousands of words in English language to figure out what you're feeling. It's really helpful
Yeah.
to understand yourself. You make sense of yourself. And so it's really helpful to have a good vocabulary, emotional
Mhm.
vocabulary. And I also think it is useful, I've been doing this for an awful long time, is to try to sum it up and boil them down into just a few. And if I may, the few are
Tell
the
us.
positives are joy, peace, and love. And the
Joy, peace, and
negatives
love.
are fear, anger, and sadness. And you can
Fear,
take
anger,
all
and
of the
sadness.
1,000 words in English language, and most of them you can boil them down to fear, anger, or sadness, or some combination of those. And I find it helpful to do that. And so if I can deal with my fear, my anger, and my sadness, I can deal with almost anything life can throw at me. no matter how complicated or nuanced it is, it can sum it up into those, and I can deal with those, then I'm in good shape. So I would suggest that.
Awesome. What are the positive ones? Love, joy, and peace.
Love, peace, and joy, baby. Those are
Love,
the good
peace, and
stuff.
joy. So,
And they're
so though,
different. There turns out they're different. They sound like they're the same, but they're not. They're very different, but and they all are powerful, and they've got to be
I
handled in different ways, all that kind of stuff.
I
But
think we can
they're
have another
different.
podcast on those three terms
Yeah.
and differentiating
That'd be
the
great.
nuances of those.
Okay.
And I think
Okay.
we actually may because I
Okay.
remember
Let's
reading
do.
that from your book, EQ,
Hmm.
EQ 2.0 or something. What was one of your PDFs you sent me?
And
That
also
was
on our
very,
website,
very helpful.
we have a game called What's the Diff? What's the Diff? So
Uh,
eqforpeace.org, search for What's the Diff? DIF is in difference, like I have to versus I want to, or those kind of stuff.
yes,
What's the difference between anger and fear? What's the difference
yes,
between I'm going to and I want to? That
yes.
sort of thing.
Awesome.
Lots of them.
Awesome.
There's 100 of them.
We'll share
So
those
I
links
suggest
in the
check it out.
description, in the YouTube description, and we can have that as another tool for our
Okay.
audience to help
Oh, good idea.
discover and become more aware and change those things that they want to change, right? From the can't to the won't to
Nice.
the maybe
Yeah.
to the possibly to the it can,
Yeah.
it will, and it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Right?
Beautiful. Good ending. All right.
Awesome. All
Thanks,
right, we'll wrap it up.
everybody.
Thank you so
Yep.
much. This concludes this episode. Thank you, my friends. Make sure to sign up and subscribe to our podcast for more interesting power tools for the mind as we continue forward, finding our inner peace in order to create outer peace. Signing out.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you,
I
my friends.
suggest you learn about yourself and become more aware and accept yourself so that you can have more peace. Take care.
All right.
Thanks,
Peace out.
guys. Bye.